everyone, I'm Christine Carter, and I'm really happy to be here today to talk about how we might bring a little more ease and peace into this season and into our new year. This is a great time for us to practice saying no to the things that drain our energy, the things that maybe we feel like we should do, but then feel a real sense of dread doing. We humans often say yes to invitations and favors and requests simply in order to avoid the difficulty and the discomfort of saying no. But saying yes when we mean no is a recipe for overwhelm and exhaustion. Fortunately, there are ways to make saying no less uncomfortable. I'm going to give you 3 tips today for setting boundaries that I hope will bring you some peace and ease this holiday season, and that will help you free up time for the things that bring you joy. So the first step to making no easier is to decide what you are saying yes to. Whenever we say no to something, it's because we're actually saying yes to something else. It might be a different priority or an unmet need, like the need to rest or have some time alone. Acknowledging what we're saying yes to can drive greater clarity and ease around what we need to say no to. So for example, say you're asked to attend a late meeting, but you'd planned on taking some time for yourself by getting outside and walking your dog. It can be really hard to decline a request when our reasons for doing so are kind of vague or abstract or seemingly unimportant, especially if we have to give a face-to-face excuse. Saying something like, I'm not needed at the meeting, or I won't get enough exercise today, can feel kind of like weak explanations. But if you block off time on your calendar for your highest priorities, you'll be able to clearly see when you do and don't have time to, say, work late. And that way you'll be able to say no with more conviction. Simply by saying something like, I have other plans tonight, but I could help you tomorrow if you need it. So note that we're not being specific here with the requester about the reason for our no. We're just developing clarity and conviction about our yes. And that this comes through in our energy and our tone. As a bonus, when we have our most important priorities already blocked off on our calendar, we're able to see when we do have time to help out. And offering those times can make saying no even easier. The next step is simply to practice saying no. I think the thing that we often fail to realize is that saying no gracefully is a skill that we need to practice before we can feel really confident doing it. Our habit is often to say yes instead of saying no, and this is even more true when we feel stressed and tired, and when we have less strength to do the thing that is more difficult or less familiar or less comfortable for us. This is likely why the research shows that the busier we get, the more likely it is that we'll have a harder time saying no to the next request, kind of ironically. So knowing this, though, we can train our brain to habitually say no rather than yes to requests by rehearsing a go-to response when people ask us for favors. Research shows that when we make a specific plan before we're confronted with a request, we're far more likely later to act in a way that's consistent with our original intentions. I found it incredibly helpful to have and practice go-to ways to just say no. For example, because I've blocked out my most important priorities on my calendar already, I mostly say I'm already booked then. But some other tactics that work for me is first, to make it not personal to the other person. So I might say something like, thank you for asking, but I'm not doing any interviews while I'm writing this next book. So it's not just about you. The second tactic is to offer someone else who might actually want to do the thing that's being requested, who might want to step up in that meeting or go somewhere. So saying, I can't do it, but I bet so-and-so could do it, and I could make that introduction for you. I found at this point in my career, there are often a lot of younger people around me who can take some of the things that I actually no longer want to do and use them as real opportunities. So that's really win-win-win. And then the third way that I often use is to offer something that I can do just in the form of usually a 5-minute favor. So I might say, well, no, I can't actually speak at that event, but I'm going to help you promote it on LinkedIn or something like that. All right. The final step, tip that I'm going to give you today is to say no and then let it go. Once we do say no, it's important to let go of any lingering feelings of guilt or worry about the decision that we've already made. Because of what psychologists call the harshness bias, we often believe that people are judging us more negatively than they actually are when we say no. The reality is that people tend to respect us more when we set those healthy limits. Another reason to say no and let it go is that plenty of research suggests that when we make a decision in a way that allows us to change our minds later, we tend to be a lot less happy with the decisions that we make. So once we say no, we need to make an effort to focus on the good that will come from saying no, not the regret or guilt that we feel about it. Perhaps we'll be better rested and therefore more efficient in our work because we didn't go to an early meeting or stay late at a meeting, or we'll feel less resentful because we let someone else help out. Maybe saying no to one thing frees up time for another more joyful activity. That's the real hope. Whatever the case may be, the key is to focus on the positive outcome of your effort to say no.